Hi. In this question, we have Pulak, Qasim, Ritesh, and Suresh participated in a tournament comprising of 8 rounds. In each round, they form two pairs with each of them being in exactly one pair. So there will be two pairs, right? There are four people, each pair has two people, so there will be 4 by 2, two pairs. The only restriction in the pairing was that the pairs would change in successive rounds. For example, if Pulak formed a pair with Qasim in the first round, then he would have to form a pair with Ritesh or Suresh in the second round. So if P is with Q in the first round, P cannot be with Q in the second round. P will have to be either with R or with S in the second round. That's the only restriction. So subsequent rounds cannot have same pair. चलो ठीक है. फिर now he would be free to pair with Qasim again in the third round. Okay, so after first round, P can form a pair with Q again in the third round or in other subsequent rounds, but not in the immediate next round. That's the only restriction. Now in each round, each pair decided whether to play the game in that round or not. If they decided not to play, then no money was exchanged between them. If they decided to play, they had to bet either 1 or 2 rupees in that round. So, for example, if they chose to bet 2 rupees, then the player winning the game got 2 rupees from the one losing the game. So, for example, let's say P and Q are in a pair, right? And let's say they have 10 rupees initially. If they decide to not bet, then in the next round, there will be no exchange of money because they did not play the betting game. But if they decided to bet 1 rupee, so in this pair, if let's say P wins, what will happen now is Q will give 1 rupee to P. So P will get 11 and Q will be left with 9 rupees. If they bet 2 rupees and now assume that Q wins. So now P will give 2 rupees to Q. So P will be left with 8 rupees. Q will be left with, or Q will have 12 rupees at the end of first round. So these are the three possible cases. No betting, betting of 1 rupee, betting of 2 rupees. Okay? Next, at the beginning of the tournament, the players had 10 rupees each. The following table shows partial information about the amounts that the players had at the end of each of the 8 rounds. Okay, this is partial information about the amount they had at the end of a round. So at the end of round 1, Qasim had 8 rupees, Ritesh had 10, Suresh also had 10. Okay, fine. And so on. Now it shows every time a player had 10 rupees at the end of a round. Okay. So at the end of each round, if at any point of time a player had 10 rupees, it is mentioned in the table. That means the empty boxes cannot have a 10. All the 10s are already given to you. Okay. As well as every time at the end of a round, a player had either the minimum or the maximum amount that he would have had across the 8 rounds. Okay. So the minimum and the maximum amount is also mentioned. For example, for Pulak, 10 is already mentioned and 13 is also mentioned. And of all the values mentioned, 10 is the lowest and 13 is the highest. So lowest amount that Pulak gets is 10 and the highest is 13. And the lowest, since only one value of 10 is given, this is the only time Pulak will get the lowest amount of 10. 10 will not come in any of these blocks and 13 is given twice. So this is the only 2 times Pulak will have the highest amount. No other empty boxes will have 13. To understand better, let's understand about Qasim. For Qasim, all the 10s are already mentioned, but if you look at all the values, the lowest value mentioned is 8 and the highest value mentioned is 12. That means every time Qasim has the lowest amount, 8 is already mentioned. So no other empty box will have 8 for Qasim. And the highest amount is 12, which is mentioned only once. Hence, 12 will not appear any more time for Qasim. For Suresh, the lowest is 8 and that is only once. And the highest is 13, that is only once. For Ritesh, the lowest is 4 once and highest is 10 once. Okay. So all the 10s, lowest and the highest are mentioned. And 10 can either be the lowest amount for a person, for example Pulak, or 10 can also be the highest amount for a person, for example Ritesh. Okay? Now, so this is the example that is mentioned. At the end of all other rounds, Okay, this is what is given. So for Suresh, it's given that the lowest is 8 and the highest is 13. Okay, so Suresh will have amounts between 8 and 13 in the other blocks. So Suresh will either have 9, 10, 11 or 12, but 10 can also not be there because all the 10s are mentioned. So the only amounts Suresh will have in these three blocks are 9, 11 and 12. Okay, fine. This is the information. And finally, it is also known that Pulak and Qasim had the same amount of money with them at the end of round 4. So at the end of round 4, Pulak and Qasim had the same amount of money. So both these values should be same. Okay. Now let's start solving this set. Pulak and Qasim have the same amount at the end of round 4 here. Okay. So let's start with round 1. At the starting, the amount that each one of them had was 10 rupees. That is given to us, right? At the beginning, they had 10 rupees each. Now, in the first round, there would have been two pairs. If you look at Ritesh, Ritesh's amount is not changing and Suresh's amount is not changing. But Qasim's amount is changing. That means Qasim must have played with someone and he would have bet 2 rupees. 10 reduces to 8. That means Qasim would have bet 2 rupees. So whoever Qasim pairs with, he would have received these 2 rupees. Qasim lost 2 rupees. So the other person would have received 2 rupees. Neither that person can be Ritesh because Ritesh is neither receiving nor losing. And neither can it be Suresh also. So Qasim could have paired only with Pulak in the first round. Right? So in the first round, we would have had pairing of Pulak and Qasim, and the other pair would have been of Ritesh and Suresh, right? And now what about the amount for Pulak? Now since Qasim is losing 2 rupees, so Qasim pairs with Pulak, Pulak will gain 2 rupees and Pulak's amount will become 12, right? Next, let's look at round 2. In round 2, the only unknown value is that of Ritesh. Now we know initially if the total amount is 40 and the amount is only changing, hence the total amount is neither increasing nor decreasing. So the total amount at the end of each round should be 40, correct? That is pretty clear to understand. So the total amount at the end of round 2 should also be 40. So 13 plus 10 is 23 plus 8 is 31. Okay. So the amount here should be 40 minus sum of 31 rupees 9. Okay. Now if this is the case, let's see what could have been the pairing for round 2. Now in round 2, see what's happening. Pulak is gaining 1 rupees. Qasim is gaining 2 rupees. So Pulak and Qasim anyways could not have been a pair because they were pair in the first round. So Pulak gaining 1 rupees would have paired with someone losing 1 rupee, and the only person losing 1 rupee is Ritesh. So Pulak would have paired with Ritesh and the other pair would have been that of Qasim and Suresh. Correct? Fine. So this is for round 2. Now let's look at round 5. In round 5 also, the sum of all the numbers should be 40. So 10 plus 10 is 20 plus 13 is 33. So the only amount remaining is 7. So this should be 7 over here. Now who pairs with whom? We don't know yet. That depends on how the values are changing compared to the previous round, right? So we'll look at the pairing later on. Now let's look at round 8. In round 8, the total amount so far is 23. So the amount remaining is 17. So this value total should be 17 over here. Okay. Now what are the possible values of having a 17 here? See, this Qasim has the highest amount of 12. So the value here cannot be more than 12. It can only be less than 12, right? It cannot be even equal to 12 because all the highest values are mentioned in the table. Highest for Qasim is 12 and all the highest of 12s would have been mentioned already. So another highest is not possible. So the value here can be either 11 or 10. Qasim definitely would have bet and he would have lost either 1 rupee or he would have lost 2 rupees. And the total here has to be 17. So if this is 11, this must be 6. If this is 10, this must be 7. Okay. So we'll come back to it, what exactly is the case. Let's look at round 7 now. In round 7, the two values known so far is total 16. So 40 minus 16 is 24. So these two guys together would have 24 rupees with them. Fine. Now this value obviously cannot be 13 because 13 is highest for Pulak and all the 13s are already mentioned. So this value would be either 12 or it will be 11. It will be either 1 rupee less or 2 rupees less. The difference between any two consecutive rounds will be either 0 rupees, 1 rupee or 2 rupee. No bet, 1 rupee bet or 2 rupee bet. The difference cannot be 0 because this is highest value. Highest value cannot come once again. Right? So if this is 12 and the sum has to be 24, this must be 12. Or if this is 11, for the sum to be 24, this must be 13. But can this be 13? See, 13 is the highest for Suresh and all the 13s are already mentioned in the table. So we cannot have a 13 appearing again, right? So 13 here is not possible. That means the only possible value for Suresh is 12. Hence, the only possible value for Pulak will also be 12 for the sum to be 24, right? Fine. So now see what's happening is from round 7 to round 8, Pulak is gaining 1 rupee and Suresh is losing 2 rupees. So Pulak and Suresh cannot be a pair. So Pulak gaining 1 rupee will have to pair with someone who is losing 1 rupee, right? Now obviously if you look at here, 4 to 7 is not possible, right? Gaining 3 rupees is not possible. The only possibility is that of gaining 2 rupees. So this definitely must be rupees 6. And if this is 6 and for the sum to be 17, this must be 11. And here this person is losing 1 rupee. This person is gaining 2 rupees. This person is losing 2 rupees. So what would have happened in the round 8 is, this guy, Pulak, gaining 1 rupee would have paired with this guy losing 1 rupee. And Ritesh gaining 2 rupees would have paired with Suresh losing 10 rupees. Okay. Now let's come to round 4. In round 4, we know Pulak and Qasim have the same amount. So let's start with Pulak. Now Pulak's lowest amount is 10 and it comes only once. You see, lowest amount is 10 and it comes only once. So this amount here can be either 11 or 12. The difference can be either 1 or 2. 0 cannot be the difference because lowest amount is only, all the lowest amounts are already mentioned, right? So this is either 11 or 12. So if this is 11, this can also be 11. Or if this is 12, this will also be 12. But can this value be 12? For Qasim, the highest is 12, right? And the highest 12, all the highest are already mentioned. So we cannot have a repetition of any, as in another value of 12 coming. So this cannot be 12. Hence the only value possible for Qasim is 11. Hence Pulak must have also had 11 rupees at the end of round 4, right? So the total amount with Pulak and Qasim so far is 11 plus 11, 22 rupees. So the total amount with these two guys will be 18 rupees. Okay. So now if you look at Pulak and Qasim from round 4 to round 5, both of them are losing 1 rupee. If both of them are losing 1 rupee, that means they would not have paired with each other. It means they would have paired with the other two, Ritesh and Suresh. So if both of them paired with either Ritesh or Suresh, both Ritesh and Suresh must have gained 1 rupee from round 4 to round 5. So that means in round 4 they had 1 rupee less. So Ritesh would have had 6 rupees and Suresh would have had 12 rupees, right? Both of them are losing 1 each. So here both of them must be gaining 1 each. Correct? So this is the amount that Ritesh and Suresh had in the 4th round. And for 5th round, we know Pulak would have paired either with Ritesh or Suresh. That's not sure right now. So we'll come back to the pairing later on. Now let us look at round 3. In round 3, or rather let's start with round 2. In round 2, Suresh paired with Qasim. So in round 3, Suresh, whose value we know, cannot pair with Qasim. So this pair cannot be there. So that means Suresh's pair will either be with Ritesh or it will be Pulak. Correct? So let's do one thing. Let's make a case for pairing of Suresh and Ritesh. Okay. Now Suresh is gaining 2 rupees over here. So that means Ritesh must have lost 2 rupees. So this must have been 7 rupees. I'm making a case. We'll consider Pulak later on. Fine. Chalo. So this is what it is. So the total amount that they have is 17. So the total amount these two guys together will be 40 minus 17, 23. Okay. Now how is the sum of 23 possible? Let's see. This is possible if we have a 12 over here and if we have a 11 over here. Correct? Now but 12 and 11, what this means is Qasim is not betting, Pulak is betting. That's not possible. If Suresh Ritesh is a pair, these two have to be a pair and the difference should be same for both Pulak and Qasim between 3 and 4. So 12 and 11 is not possible. And if you see, any other value combination is also not possible. So what this effectively means is that Suresh is not going to pair with Ritesh. You see, we checked for 12, 11. 13, 10 is also not possible. Maximum 13 cannot repeat. So that's also not possible, right? 11, 12 is not possible. This is 11, this is 12. That's also not possible because in this case, Pulak is not betting, but Qasim is betting. So again, there are a lot of issues and no other combination will be possible here, right? So that means Pulak and Qasim cannot be pair or Suresh and Ritesh cannot be pair. So the only pairing of Ritesh will be with Pulak now. Qasim, he's paired in second round, so can't be a pair with here. Ritesh is not possible. So the only possibility is with Pulak. So if Suresh pairs with Pulak, Suresh is gaining 2 rupees. That means Pulak is losing 2 rupees. So Pulak here loses 2 rupees and this becomes 11. Okay. Now if this becomes 11, then means 10 plus 11 is 21. So together they have 21 rupees. So 40 minus 21 is 19. So Qasim and Ritesh together have 19 rupees at the end of round 3. Now let's see how is it possible. So the highest here is 12 and the lowest is 8. This is 11. But if you look at Ritesh, this 9 has to become 6 in 2 rounds. So what can be this value over here? Can this be 9? 9 to 6, a jump of 3 is not possible. So this has to be either 8 or this will either come down by 1 or this will come down by 2, 7. So it will be either 8 or 7. If this is 8, then this must be 11. If this is 7, then this must be 12. Now if this is 11, okay. So what would be the case? Let's see. In round 3 to round 4, we see Pulak is not betting, right? The amount remains same. So we need one more person who is not going to bet. Suresh is definitely betting because amount is changing. Ritesh's amount is also definitely changing. Either we consider 8 or 7, Ritesh's amount is definitely changing. So Ritesh and Suresh are definitely going to bet. So the only person remaining is Qasim. We have to make sure Qasim does not bet. So if Qasim does not have to bet, if this is 11, this must also be 11. So Qasim's amount will have to be 11 rupees at the end of round 3. If this is 11 and for the sum of these two to be 19, this value here must be 8. So this is rupees 8, right? So now let's see what are the pairing in round 3, 4 and 5. So you see in round 3 we had pair of Suresh with with Pulak, correct? Gaining 2 rupees, losing 2 rupees, and we had a pair of Qasim and Ritesh. Fine. Now in the next round from 3 to 4, Pulak is not betting, Qasim is not betting, but these two are betting. That means Pulak and Qasim would have been a pair and the other pair would have been that of Ritesh and Suresh, correct? And finally, let's look at round 6. In round 6, let's start with Ritesh. Ritesh's amount 7 here has to come down to 4 in 7th round. So the value here should be, okay, a total jump, can it be 7 here? The value here, can it be 7? As in, he does not bet in round 6. Is it possible? Well, that's not possible, because then in next round, a decrease of 3 will not be possible. So this cannot be 7 here, right? So this has to be either a decrease of at least 1 or a decrease of at least 2. Okay? So let's consider these two cases. Let's consider the case of 6. If this is 6, this effectively means that Ritesh's amount decreases by 1 rupee. Correct? So if Ritesh's amount is decreasing by 1 rupee, the person in his pair would gain 1 rupee, and that person definitely cannot be Suresh. Suresh's highest amount is 13, so Suresh cannot gain 1 rupee. So let's consider Qasim. Let's consider Ritesh and Qasim paired. So Qasim has 11 rupees. If this is 6, this is 11. Okay. So total amount that they have is 17. So the total amount that the other two have will be 23, right? If the other two together have 23, how is it possible? This will have to be maximum 12. It cannot be 13. So if this is 12, this must be 11 in that case. Or if this is 11, this must be 12 in that case, right? Now see, what's happening is, in this, for Pulak, in this case, if we consider 11 and 12, so if we consider 11 and 12, what that means is that Suresh is not going to bet in the next round. So if Suresh is not going to bet in the next round, there should be someone else also who is not betting to pair up with Suresh. Ritesh's amount is definitely changing, Qasim's amount is definitely changing, and here Pulak's amount is also changing. So this is not possible that only one person does not bet. So this case is eliminated. Okay? Now if we consider the other case, 12 and 11. Now in this case, Pulak does not bet and everyone else bets. That is also not possible. Is there any other possibility for sum to be 23? 10, 13 is not possible, because the lowest amount of 10 cannot repeat, the highest amount of 13 cannot repeat here, right? 13, 10, is it possible? That's also not possible, because the highest amount of 13 cannot repeat, right? So what's happening is we are not able to find any values for the sum of these two to be 23. That means the assumption that we made of this being 6 is not fitting, right? So this means that this amount cannot be 6, this amount has to be 5 only. Now if this amount has to be 5, this is 5, that effectively means that Ritesh is losing 2 rupees. If Ritesh is losing 2 rupees, who is going to gain 2 rupees? Suresh cannot gain 2 rupees, right? Now Qasim also cannot gain 2 rupees, because if Qasim gains 2 rupees, Qasim will have 12 rupees here, which is the highest amount that Qasim has. So Qasim obviously cannot have another repetition of the highest amount. So the only person gaining 2 rupees has to be Pulak. Pulak's highest is 13. So any other amount apart from highest and lowest can repeat. So this becomes 12. Okay? Fine. Now, if this is 12, that effectively means that we have paired up, we have a pair of Pulak and Ritesh in this round. That effectively means that there will be a pair of Qasim and Suresh in this round. And let's see what are the values that are possible for them. So in 6th round, Pulak and Ritesh together have 17 rupees, 12 plus 5. So the other two will have 23 rupees together, right? Now how is this sum of 23 possible? Can we have a 11 and a 12 over here? Can we have that? Yes, that's perfectly possible. See, Pulak does not bet from round 6 to round 7. So we need one more person who does not bet. Ritesh definitely bets. In any case, Ritesh cannot bet again in the 7th round with Pulak. Same pair is not possible. So in the next round, Pulak shall have to bet with either Qasim or Suresh. So either Qasim's amount should be same here or Suresh's amount has to be same. Now Qasim's amount cannot be same because 12 is the highest for Qasim. 12 cannot repeat here. That effectively means that Suresh's amount has to be same. Suresh should not bet. So this must be 12, and if this is 12 and the sum to be 23, this must be 11. Right? So this is what we get. Right? And now let's look at the pairing for round 5 and round 7. Now we know that Pulak and Qasim will bet either with Ritesh or Suresh in any order. But in the next round, in 6th round, Pulak is betting with Ritesh. So here in this round, Pulak cannot bet with Ritesh. Pulak will have to bet with Suresh. Pulak is losing 1 rupee and Suresh is gaining 1 rupee. Hence, in round 5, Qasim is going to bet with Ritesh. Correct? Fine. And finally in round 7, Pulak is not betting, Suresh is not betting. So they both will form a pair and the other pair will be for Qasim and Ritesh. Right? So with this we complete the entire table of the amount each of them had at the end of each of these 8 rounds. Now let us look at the questions. First question is, what best can be said about the amount of money that Ritesh had with him at the end of round 8? So Ritesh's amount at the end of round 8 is 6 rupees. So this should be exactly 6. Okay? Next question. Acha, we have highlighted. What best can be said about the amount of money that Pulak had with him at the end of round 6? Pulak at the end of round 6 had 12 rupees. So this must be exactly 12. Next, how much money did Ritesh have at the end of round 4? At the end of round 4, the amount with Ritesh is 6 rupees. So this is 6. Next, how many games were played with a bet of 2? Okay, how many games with a bet of 2? Sorry. Let's see. In the first round, Pulak gains 2 rupees. So Pulak and Qasim was a pair. So here we have a betting of 2 rupees. Okay, I'll denote it with red wherever we have a betting of 2 rupees. Ritesh and Suresh are not betting, so leave them. Now Pulak is losing 1 rupee, that means a bet of 1 rupees. Qasim is gaining 2 rupees. So here again we are going to get a bet of 2 rupees. Qasim and Suresh. Okay. Next, Pulak is losing 2 rupees and Pulak is betting with Suresh. So this is a bet of 2 rupees. Qasim and Ritesh are betting 1 rupee. So no bet of 2 for them. Here there is a difference of 0, so leave it. Here there is a difference of 2. That means here Ritesh and Suresh bet 2 rupees. Next, a difference of 1, so a bet of 1. Again a difference of 1 here, bet of 1. So no betting of 2 rupees in round 5. In round 6, this is a difference of 2. So Pulak bets 2 rupees with Ritesh. And Qasim bets 1 rupee, Suresh bets 1 rupee. So no bet of 2 rupees here. Next, no difference here. 1 rupee difference, 1 rupee difference, no difference. So no betting of 2 rupees in round 7. And in round 8, difference of 1, 1. So no betting of 2 for these two. And here there is a difference of 2, 2. So a betting of 2 rupees between Ritesh and Suresh in round 8. Okay. So how many bets of 2 rupees do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So 6 times a bet of 2 rupees was placed during the whole tournament. Okay. Fine. Next question. Last one. Which of the following pairing was made in round 5? Okay. In round 5, what was the pairing? Pulak with Suresh and Qasim with Ritesh. So Pulak with Suresh and Qasim with Ritesh is not there. So only option A is the correct answer here. Right? So that's it for this set. Thank you.